The 1990s. Such a fun time to be alive. This precarious period in history had it all. It had grunge music, demented children's cartoons, and a sex offender holding the office of President of the United States. Fun! But while most of the cultural phenomena that defined the 1990s lacked any real staying power, there is one holdover that continues to persist to this very day, as strong as it ever was. I am, of course, talking about the Pokémon franchise. Yes, that multi-million-dollar media megalodon that's one part cockfighting and one part slave trade had its humble origins right here in the 90s, more specifically 1996, as a pair of games for the Nintendo Game Boy dubbed Pocket Monsters Red and Pocket Monsters Green. And the rest, as they say, is history. And since I love history, we're going to go back in time to one of the older entries of the Pokemon series, more specifically, Pokemon Yellow. And we are going to conquer this slice of digital deliciousness via a special challenge. The rules are simple. For every significant trainer in the game, I must beat them by taking down all of their Pokemon with a single damaging attack. Aside from glitches or exploits, I'm free to use whatever method to obtain this, but the first damaging strike I make against that Pokemon must take it out, or else I need to start over. Now I realize that this challenge run is silly and probably rather unnecessary, but since challenge runs tend to be silly and unnecessary anyway, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the first episode of this odd odyssey as we fire up the game, give our character and rival incredibly mature names, and get through the first tutorial fight. Well then, let's get it on! Now, before we continue, I should clarify exactly what I mean by significant trainers in the context of this challenge. Basically, any trainer that plays a significant role to the game's progression counts as a significant trainer. That includes gym leaders, crime bosses such as Giovanni and Jesse and James, and the rival encounters, beyond the first tutorial battle. In other words, the one-shot rule applies to the boss trainers, for lack of a better term. So once we get past this hilariously lopsided tutorial battle, our journey will begin in earnest, and we can begin to prepare for our first challenge, the rival encounter outside of the Pokemon League near Viridian City.
And now for something completely different.
My thunderstruck is all the birds in the yard, and they're like, blah. Alrighty! We got our Pikachu, we kicked the crap out of our rival in Oak's lab, and we got a few levels under our belt. But there's still one more thing we need to do before we take on our rival outside the Pokemon League. We need to get a Pokemon to deal with the first gym leader in the game. More specifically, the Rock-type Pokemon Master, Brock. Now, Brock in the original Pokemon games was a joke. Basically, you could pick your starter at the start of the original Pokemon games, and two of the starters, Bulbasaur and Squirtle, could curb stomp his entire team with minimal effort. So unless you picked Charmander, you were pretty much set to take on Brock. Now you may have noticed a rather particular quirk about Pokemon Yellow. You're stuck with Pikachu as your starter. You can't pick anyone else. And this is especially significant with the first gym leader, because Brock's Pokemon all shrug off Pikachu's electric attacks. So basically, you need another Pokemon to even fight Brock in the first place. Thankfully, you got a couple options. There are 3 Pokemon that reside in the route left of Viridian City, just before the rival encounter, that can handle Brock's team with their kicking and punching prowess. In other words, they can take advantage of Brock's fighting type weakness. Specifically, those Pokemon are Mankey, Nidoran Male, and Nidoran Female. All 3 of these Pokemon get moves that shred Brock's Pokemon. More specifically, Mankey gets Low Kick at level 9, and the Nidorans get Double Kick at level 12. Now the obvious choice is to go for Mankey, because he gets to lose his fighting type move earlier than the other 2, and he gets the same type attack bonus with fighting type moves because of his innate fighting type. However, I'm going to go with Nidoran Male, because I feel like being a contrarian hipster every now and then, and because Mankey's evolution Primeape fucking sucks and is less than an ideal member to keep on the team for a long period of time. So what are we waiting for? Let's catch that Nidoran. Alrighty, now that we've ground those levels and gotten our Pokemon up to speed, we can take on the rival. Fucking finally. This rival encounter is piss easy, as he only has 2 Pokemon, a Spearow and his starting Eevee. Now, the Spearow was a bit tougher and more hardy than I initially thought, so one-shotting it required a little bit of finesse. Basically, Pikachu needed to be level 13 in order to one-shot Spearow because his special stat was not high enough otherwise. I had to save scum and do the battle about 3 times in order to figure that out. His Eevee, however, posed no threat. It is a wimp, it went down in a single double kick, bada bing, bada boom, wax on, wax off, let's go. So there we go, we've completed our first required set of one-shots. Now we just need to go to Pewter City and lay the smackdown on Brock. Here we go! We've arrived in Pewter City, and now it is time to rock Brock's socks. Now, at first glance, Brock should seem like a relatively easy obstacle to deal with. His first Pokemon is a level 10 Geodude, and it gets easily shreked by our level 18 Nidorino's Double Kick. But see, the problem is his level 12 Onix that he follows up with. See, Onix has 160 base defense, the second highest in the game, behind only Cloyster. And because of the way physical and special were defined in Gen 1, Nidorino's Double Kick and any fighting type move will always be physical. But we have a trick up our sleeve. Leer. Now, if you've played Pokemon as long as I have, you're probably familiar with stat stages. Stat stages are modifiers that affect a Pokemon's base stat during battle. One single use of Leer will lower a Pokemon's defense by one stage. Now, raising your own stats tends to be better than lowering your opponent's, as lowering your opponent's stats will bring about diminishing returns with each use. Since Gen 1 has very few options to boost your stats, and virtually none of them are available early game, we don't have a lot of options here. That said, we can get quite a bit of mileage out of Leer, because Brock's Onix will try to use its signature move, Bide, which basically will store up energy and unleash damage as it's hit. And since Leer does no damage, we can just stall out Bide by using Leer, and lower its defenses while it just wastes its time. So after applying the Leer move a whole huggy bunch, we're gonna just attack Onix. We'll just select Double Kick, and... boom! Congratulations, we just plowed through the Pokemon with the second highest defense in the game and earned ourselves the Boulder Badge. I don't know about you, but I'm having quite a bit of fun with this challenge run. Tune in next time as we make our way through Mount Moon, beat Jesse and James, and then get all geared up to attack Misty at the Cerulean City Gym. Thank you, good night, may the Force be with you. Oh, and I just invented a new drinking game. Go back and watch this video and take a shot every single time I say the words more specifically. I need a new catchphrase, Jesus Christ.